Okay, I am John Denton. I'm going to talk to you today about video games again. As you all know, people love video games. People like the challenge. Well, my belief is that in general, as time has gone by, video games have been made much easier than their predecessors. So I guess I'll start with a testimony in an article on a website, a fairly respectable video game website called GameZone.com. Stephen Hopper gives us an article, and he says, he asks the same question. He says, are video games getting easier? To that he says, games like Resident Evil 5 and Gears of War 2 are tough, but when you compare them to titles like Battletoads or Mega Man, then they're almost a walk in the park. Frequently, if you go on the internet and you occasionally run into polls and they ask, oh, what's the toughest video game you've ever played? Battletoads is very frequently in the top 10, usually number 1. Mega Man 9 is also usually up there. Okay, you probably haven't heard of those titles, or if you have, they're from a long time ago. Well, if we go into the 90s, we can go into the handheld realm. I'm sure at least some of you have played Pokemon, Red and Blue specifically. If you start with Charmander, which is the fire type, well, you know that the first gym, when you're fighting, Brock, you have a really tough time. You either you have to really work on your Charmander, to get him to beat it, or you have to go find and catch another Pokemon and use that to fight him. Recently they remade the game. They called it Fire Red, or Leaf Green. And in this version of the game, the developers actually made it very simple for you to beat the first gym. They gave Charmander a new move that they hadn't given him before, and you basically defeat all his Pokemon in like 4 hits. So even they made the remake of the game. It's almost exactly the same. There's more content, but it's easier. So okay, maybe you didn't play Pokemon, but say if you play video games, you have run into this name at least once. Maybe you didn't play it, but perhaps consider Mario, right? Everyone knows who Mario is. He's Nintendo's most famous character. One of the Super Mario Brothers 2, which was not released in the U.S. Let's say it this way. In 1986, Japan released Super Mario Brothers 2, and the Nintendo of America chose not to release this game because they deemed it too difficult for American gamers. So even Mario, an older Mario from the 80s, is too difficult for I guess the common gamer. It was later released as The Lost Levels in 1993, 7 years later. But even then, it was released as a package deal in Super Mario All-Stars. It was never released as a solo game until 2007. So, considering these facts, you can see that video games have gotten easier over time.
miniatures.
Yeah.